Hi guys, welcome to the Mindful Homeschooler. I'm so happy you could join me today. My name is Nicole and this channel is where I document my homeschooling journey, homeschooling my 6th grade daughter and my son who's in pre-K. All right guys, so today's video is my homeschooling update for the month of September. The month of September was our second full month of homeschooling for the 2025 to 2026 school year. I can't believe it. Also, I am going to break this video up into two parts and do part one, the update for my 6th grade daughter, and part two will be the update for my son who's in pre-K, because honestly, I just have too much and this video will be way too long. All right, guys, before I get into the curriculum, I just wanted to say, as of this video, we're taking 2 weeks off. My sister is coming to visit from Switzerland with her 2 nephews. I'm really excited. Had she not been coming, I probably would have taken the last week of September off anyways, because I am definitely burnt out. We are pretty much year-round homeschoolers at this point. I've realized whether or not I meant that to happen intentionally, that's just how it is. And we generally take off all of May. And we had breaks throughout the year, but we're definitely doing homeschooling in one form or another for a lot of the year. So I'm trying to get better about recognizing when burnout is coming and taking a break to reset the house, reset myself, catch up on life. And so I'm trying to be better about that. So just so you know, if I had not had this 2-week vacation coming up, I would not have pushed through this last week of homeschooling. Okay. So let's start with my daughter. All right, so last month I talked about how my daughter is struggling in math, and that's still going. We're almost done with this. We have one more unit on algebra. It's going to take us 10 days. So close to the end of October, we're going to be done and we're going to be moving on. Now, to give you a little background, we've been using Primary Mathematics Standard Edition for all of level 4 and all of level 5. I started my daughter in level 4 2/3 of the way through her 4th grade year. I had been trying different curriculums. I tried Spectrum and Math Mammoth, and those just didn't work. And I ended up on this curriculum because of a video subscription Wisdom Wonder project. The teacher who taught it in 4th grade, who also teaches the 2nd and 3rd grade levels, she was fantastic. My daughter connected with her. Level 4 was relatively a breeze compared to this one. 5th grade, they switched teachers, and that teacher also teaches 6th grade. Now, I have listened to the videos by this teacher, and while I understand what she's saying, I do have a foundation in math. It goes over my daughter's head. She's had so many problems with it. I am able to explain it to her in simpler terms after she watches the video, but the videos are 20 to 25 minutes. So if we're going to spend that much time watching a video, I want her to get something out of it. So I was already realizing we were going to need to make a change, especially because the next level they switched to Dimensions level 6, and they don't even use a full curriculum. They only recommend you get the textbook. They don't want you to get the home instructor guide or the workbook for Dimensions level 6, and they've created their own tests and quizzes and reviews with answer keys because they didn't feel like it was sufficient with what Dimensions provided. So that was a red flag for me, on top of my daughter not really understanding the way that this instructor taught. On top of that, Kayla from Ode to Abode had just released a video on her thoughts on Dimensions level 6. So that kind of sealed the deal for me in saying we're not going to continue with Wisdom Wonder Project or with Singapore Math. So then I was like, where am I going to go? So after a lot of research, I have decided on ThinkWell Math. We're going to start with level 6. I have been able to talk to a few people that do use this now, and they have given me some good feedback. So I am really excited to maybe find something that better suits my daughter. We're going to be doing the 2-week trial probably towards the end of October before I really commit to it. But we have gone through the videos. I have gone through the program with her, and that was the one I just felt was going to work the best. I do ultimately want to go to Denison, but Denison, when I reached out to them, suggested not starting till at least 7th grade with pre-algebra. They believe that developmentally, that's when a child should start. So we're going to go with ThinkWell. And if ThinkWell goes well, maybe I won't switch. I'm not quite sure, but I am excited to have a direction forward. As homeschool moms, you know how scary it is to switch math curriculums. I feel like that's like the scariest one, at least for me. So, and I definitely am not comfortable being the sole teacher for math for her at this age of middle school math. I do feel like math is my strength, but as far as teaching it, it's just not something I'm comfortable with. So having a good program with a good video element is really important. Okay guys, so let's switch gears and let's talk about language arts. So let's first start with grammar. We're using 2 different grammars. The first one is Fix It. I'm loving this, you guys. This is the first time we've used it. We started on level 2. I love it. It's so simple, but so effective. It's not teaching necessarily just definitions and memorization. You're learning grammar by identifying the parts of speech in passages day after day after day. I feel like this is such an effective way to learn. And I feel like if I had learned grammar this way, I would not be a 41-year-old struggling with grammar. Honestly, I have this Usborne Junior Illustrated Grammar and Punctuation, mainly for me. Grammar is not my strength. I have a lot of strengths in ELA, but grammar is definitely not one of them. And I really appreciate how this helps you teach, even if grammar is not your strong suit. So definitely would recommend it for that. Now, I do like to have multiple curriculums for my daughter to give her different perspectives. I feel like that multifaceted approach really helps her and strengthen her learning. So the other program we're using is Hearth and Story, Level 6, Grammar for Writing. Now I am having a little bit of an issue with this because there isn't really any teacher instruction. This is meant to talk to the student, and then you have a answer key, and all of them, it actually says answer key at the top. This is just the basic answer. There's not really anything additional to help you as a teacher guide if your child needs more. Additionally, recently we came up to something that kind of made us halt this program for the moment. She was coming up on this sentence review, and these were types of sentences that were taught in previous years that my daughter had not learned, and I couldn't even tell you the last time we did learn this. So I had to kind of reinvent the wheel to figure out how to teach this to her, so I just didn't have the time. But like, the sentences they were going over were declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory. And that was all that the answers gave me. It didn't give me any definition on what it was, anything to help freshen them. I feel like even if she had done past levels, she definitely still would have needed a refresher. Like when they were talking about compound and complex sentences, they did give a little bit of a refresher, but I feel like this probably was the initial introduction. And if that was the case, I also found some of these a little bit lacking, and I did have to go a little bit further. And everything isn't always included in a way that I can use in this. This does cover a lot, but it doesn't cover everything. So I found myself looking outside for additional help a lot for Hearth and Story. And that's not really the purpose of this. This is more of my supplement. I do like it because it does include editing, and it does include different facets of grammar that I don't feel like Fix It does. But the teacher instruction really is lacking in my opinion, and I definitely need more help in that regard. Okay. So let's talk about writing. So if you've been following my journey, you know we're on Writing and Rhetoric Level 3. Beginning in Lesson 4, they start teaching outlining, and in my opinion, they do a very poor job. Very confusing way to teach it, and they only take one lesson to teach it. So based on the recommendation from Nikki at Homeschool Knockouts, I got this outlining book. They have 2 levels. Level 1 is for grades 3 to 4. Level 2 is for grades 5 to 8, which I have. My daughter just finished this, and I feel like this was so helpful for her. This taught her so much. So even if you don't do writing and rhetoric, I would definitely recommend at some point in your child's writing, have them do this book. She can now write her own outline, and she can also write a paper from an outline. It progressed slowly over time. It started very basic and it gradually moved up. And actually in the middle of September, I decided to bring this back and do both at the same time, which I think was a really good choice. Now let's talk about writing and rhetoric. I loved level 1 and 2. 1 was my absolute favorite. Level 2 was a close second. Level 3, I enjoy, but not quite as much. Obviously the outlining part I didn't like. The lessons are definitely taking more than a week now, which is fine and appropriate. As you progress and as you get older, you're expected to do more. In addition to, the narration and the copiousness and the sentence play and dictation and copy work, you would have a couple writing projects, 1 to 2 in the first 2 books. Here you have about 4, which is okay, again, because that's the age level that my daughter is, and that's appropriate. The problem is the stories that they're choosing are very confusing. Like, for example, one of the lessons was Hercules in the 5th labor. And in that, my daughter had to narrate, outline, do some sentence play, copiousness, which is like grammar play. And then she had to write a summary, an amplification, dialogue, and a story hook. And in order to do all of those, she had to understand it. And she didn't understand it. Even when we went over it several times, she couldn't narrate it. She just didn't get it. So she's having to do all this work with a story that she doesn't quite get. And we are on lesson 6 of 11. So a little more than halfway through. And as we've gone through, I'm just struggling with it. I'm looking at the future stories and I'm just kind of wincing. I really do wish they picked stories that were just a little easier for the child to understand when they're requiring so much restructuring of the story. So that is one of my complaints. Also, I do want to point out this book 3 is geared, according to them, for grades 4 to 5. And books 1 to 2 are grades 3 to 4. Let me back up and say my daughter is young for her grade, 6 months from the cutoff. So technically she's either she's like one of the oldest 5th graders or one of the youngest 6th graders. So we started level 1 and 2 in her 5th grade year. And that was the perfect time for her. I feel like she got everything she could out of that program. If she had been any younger, I don't feel like we would have had success with it. But now that we are going on to level 3, I can honestly say I don't think that she could have done this any earlier than what we're doing right now. I feel like it's adequately challenging, and it's definitely appropriate for middle school. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind when you're looking at writing and rhetoric. I will always recommend writing and rhetoric level 1 and 2 for anybody. I feel like they have so many benefits. They help my daughter's writing improve so much. But I will have to keep you posted on level 3. So we're going to keep plugging away on that. Okay, so let's just quickly go over vocabulary and spelling. We've been doing daily Doodle vocabulary. I just released a video on this and all the components. We're halfway through the level for grades 3 to 5. Really enjoy it. My daughter enjoys it. It's going great. I also mix in word ladders. If you guys have not ever started word ladders, you should get it. It's so much fun. I enjoy doing it as well. And then we work in this vocabulary notebook from School Nest. As it comes up naturally in any curriculum, I'll just have her fill it out here and then we review this periodically. So I really like that. Spelling's going great. We are still using the Modern Speller. If you are using copywork and dictation as your main spelling component, I highly recommend Modern Speller. It's free online. You can also buy it printed out on Amazon for relatively cheap. The passages are short, they pack a punch, they're so well done. The punctuation is great. We're almost done with 5th year, second half. And I'm just always really impressed with it. It's easy, quick, and simple. And I just have my daughter do the passages in this copywork notebook by School Nest. Okay, guys, let's go into literature. We have not done one book study this month, you guys. I can't believe it. We did 2 Brave Writer Guides last year. We did some other book studies. So I just wanted to read a book and just enjoy it. And the book that we were reading is The Only Road. This goes with our geography study for Guatemala. We are only halfway through, and that's because it's so hard for me to get my daughter to want to sit down for this. It's a hard read. It's a very hard read. It's a book about a boy. He's 12 years old. His name's Jamie. Him and his 15-year-old cousin have to flee Guatemala, go through Mexico to find his older brother, Tomas. This is written for ages 8 to 12. But it is still a very hard book. And the reason that I like to bring in these books is it's really important for me to teach my daughter how people live around the world, how vastly different their lives is, and what kind of privilege she has just by where she was born and who she was born to. And I feel like this is a very realistic book of what people are dealing with in Guatemala and even in Mexico. And I just really want to foster that gratitude and appreciation, because to me, gratitude is one of the key components to happiness and success. And I also want to develop that empathy. So this is important to me. I definitely think this would be considered a middle school book. In my opinion, I wouldn't bring it in before middle school, but we are taking our time. And I'm trying not to force it. What's great about this is the author has a glossary in the back of the book with all the Spanish words she discusses. I also got a slideshow. I think it's coffee and slideshow. I'll put a picture of it here. That slideshow has been really imperative because there's a lot of things they mention in the book that my daughter can't picture, and she has pages of all of it. So that's really helpful for her to like have a visual of what's happening in the book. In addition, she has questions at the back of the book for discussion, and she also has extension activities. So this is actually really helpful. So we're going to be reading through this for the next couple weeks and just kind of see how it goes. So in lieu of book studies, I have brought back my handy dandy Mostas Press literature, the Coral level. I love this. I love Mostas. It's fantastic. Coral is technically level 5. So we started Ruby, which is level 4, 2/3 of the way through her 4th grade year, and it took us almost all of 5th grade to finish it. This is a hefty, hefty book. I love it, but I feel like the best way to utilize this is to intermix it with book studies, or you're going to burn yourself out. I feel like we burned ourselves out with Ruby, and we took enough of a break that we're ready to go back to it. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the stories. I appreciate the literary elements and the way things are taught. We use this with the workbook. I don't use the teacher guides. They're pretty hefty and expensive, and I try and get these used. And I feel like this is more than enough for the level we are. Now, I would be curious. I've heard that Mostos is kind of ahead in levels. Have any of you guys used the Coral level and the next level, which I think is Pearl? Do you feel like the Coral level is still sufficient for a 6th grader, or would I need to move up? So I would be curious. So I'm going to go quickly and discuss some of the books that my daughter has been reading. She read Sense and Sensibility. This is Awesomely Austen series. We've talked about this a lot. My daughter has read Emma and Pride and Prejudice and loved it. In fact, now she's reading the original Pride and Prejudice and Emma, and she says that she understands a lot more because she's read these. She didn't love this story as much. She gave it a 3.5, mainly because the main character already had a love, and she really likes it when they find the love in the story. Another one she wanted me to tell you guys about was Kiki's Delivery Service. She read this in like a day. She absolutely loved this. She gave this a 5-star. She's also read Wednesday. That's the novelization of season 1. She gave that a 5-star. She read The Girl Who Drank the Moon, 4.5 stars. That was supposed to be a read aloud, and she read that in like less than a week. The next thing I want to tell you is that my mom got her these 3 books for history. It's a series. She's starting to learn about the American Revolution, and she read 1 per day. She devoured these. So the first one is called Stamp of Courage. This is a Road to Revolution series. The second one is called Shadows of Liberty. And the third one is Intolerable Times, America's First Nurse and the Road to Revolution. She absolutely loved these. She read the last one twice. She loved it that much. So definitely recommend those. All right, so let's talk about history. So my mom has been teaching history to my daughter since she started homeschooling. My mom really enjoys it and loves history. This year, she said she just wasn't motivated by it. She just wasn't loving the curriculum. She's been using Thrive in grade 5, which is a teacher paid teachers store. They have a social studies bundle, and they started that last year in 5th grade. Now, this is made for classrooms. So in a homeschool setting, at doing history 3 days a week, it's taking them a lot longer. So they ended last year with the 13 colonies. So this year she was finishing up 13 colonies and starting the Road to Revolution, but she just wasn't feeling motivated. She didn't love it. And I had been wanting to teach history, but I love their relationship. I love that they spend time together. My mom puts a lot of effort into history. They always have a great time. So I've just kind of made peace with not teaching history at this point. However, when she said that, I was like, well, there are some curriculums I would love to use. I'll take over. She's like, great. Sounds good. So I have been wanting to do the American Girls history for a while. I actually got the Homespun Childhood's Felicity unit. That's geared for ages 8 to 13. And I also got Little School of Smith's Felicity. That's geared for ages 6 to 10, but it was only $10. So I got both. And my mom wanted to see it, so I sent it over. And then she told me, oh my gosh, these are amazing. These books, these videos from Homespun Childhood. She just absolutely loved all of her suggestions. And then she loved all the crafts from Little School of Smiths. And she's like, this is motivating me and really making me want to put this together. So somehow now my mom is back to teaching it, but she has combined Homespun Childhood's curriculum with Little School of Smiths. Mainly she's using Little School of Smiths crafts. The rest of it is a little young for my daughter, but Homespun Childhood's Felicity unit is amazing. It has so many great recommendations for videos and books, so much there. It is a plethora and wealth of information. My mom is not going to necessarily be doing it in the order because she's also going to be utilizing Thrive in grade 5's units as well. But I would definitely recommend that if you're looking for an older girl to do American Girl, because I really wanted to do American Girl history. I'd heard so many good things about it, and I knew my daughter was getting a little old. So if you have been eyeing Homespun Childhood's American Girl units, I will keep you posted. So how I had my schedule is Fridays, we were going to be doing logic, art, and our mental health curriculum. And I just haven't been getting to any of it. No matter how hard I try, we do everything Monday through Thursday, but then by Friday, we're just kind of burnt out. So the only thing we've really been doing is math and geography on Fridays, and the rest, and any kind of makeup that we didn't get to during the week, but we just really need that day. So the first thing that's gone by the wayside is this Blossom and Root 9 Profiles in Art. I had every intention of doing it, and I just think I'm going to have to do this during the summer when we have less going on. I'm not as worried about bringing art in for my daughter. She's very artistic. She does art almost every day using multiple mediums. But I just really wanted to give her more exposure to artists. However, my son is doing Blossom and Root Early Years Level 1, and we do artist study every week, and I always bring her in on that artist study. So she is getting some exposure, but I have to find a way to bring this into Monday through Thursday or figure out a way to motivate us to do it. So another topic, logic. I've now moved into the week. We do this probably 3 times a week. I talked about this before. I would highly recommend this DK Get to Know Philosophy for your first introduction for your child. The age range for this doesn't really make sense to me. It was a lot younger than my daughter. This is perfect way at explaining what philosophy is to someone that's never really understood it. It's very abstract way of thinking, and I think you definitely need to be at that developmental age to be able to understand it, but this is a great way to introduce it. So about halfway through this, I'm looking forward to going through this and continuing on with philosophy. Okay, so another thing that we've been struggling with is A Child's Guide to Mindfulness and Calm. You guys, if you've been around, you know mental health is like #1 key for me, and I love this curriculum. Here's the problem. I feel like this curriculum is too old for my pre-K son and too young for my 6th grade daughter. I feel like the perfect age for this is like 3rd grade, late 2nd grade, 4th grade. I just feel like that's the perfect age for it. The books that she chooses are fantastic, but they're too complex for my son and they're too young for my daughter. So it has been a little bit of a struggle to get it going because they're just not connecting with it. So I'm definitely going to be doing this with my son. There are some things that my daughter does enjoy, but I've also decided that I'm going to move this to the summer as well. During the summer, she really only does math, so bringing in art and a mindfulness curriculum, I feel like it'll just flow a lot better. I had heard somewhere that the creator Forest Rain Wander was creating a supplement for this for older students. I probably should reach out to her about it and ask her, but I love this curriculum. I just feel like you need kids to be in the right age group. Okay, so my daughter has been working through All About Anxiety. This is a great book on anxiety, something my daughter deals with. And I actually feel like by focusing on shyness and anxiety and all of these things that she has, I feel like it's actually been helping her, and she's been really coming into her own and having less problems. And I don't know if it's because they teach a lot of techniques or it's more normalized for her, but definitely having some success. We have incorporated gratitude journaling. So I rotate just free writing gratitude every day with Sometimes I'm Shy. This is a series that has a lot of different emotions. Definitely recommend it. A great thing for your kids to do every day. We're also rotating it out with this Let's Do School Gratitude Workbook. Okay, guys, so now let's go on to geography. Geography is a big one. I have added quite a few books that I'll show you. I have also been collecting books for my son. I'm going to be doing geography with him in early elementary for several years. So I've been adding more books. And some of those books I've really felt like my daughter could benefit from at this time. And I've also added a few geography books for my daughter that I felt like I was missing. I know I have a lot of geography books. It's kind of my thing, but I do feel like there are some ways that I could improve even my collection. So first, let's talk about what we've done. So my daughter has asked that we do Asia this year. I'd originally taken it out. She would like to do it. She's really into Korea. She loves K-pop. She wants to learn all about Seoul, and she wants to learn about Japan and China. So I am going to bring that in. And I think the way I'm going to make that work this year is I'm not going to focus on the Middle East like I was. I'm going to do more of a deep dive into the Middle East in high school. I think I will go over the Middle East, but I think I'm just going to focus on India, Japan, China, and Korea. I might carry on into the summer, but she's really looking forward to that. And I really want to study countries that she's interested in. We are pretty far. We're more than halfway done with the Latin America unit that I created. This is a biome and culture study. We already did Mexico, and with Mexico, we studied the desert biome, the hot desert biome. We also studied the tropical dry forest and tropical coniferous forest. We have used wild feather EDUs Desert Caravan and Explore Biomes. She has great curriculum for biomes. I really recommend it. So we've been using those to teach that. I have this biome notebook, which is fantastic. So let me show you some examples. Here she wrote how a desert works, and she wrote it and she demonstrated it by drawing it. And then all of the pages that she does from Wildfeather EDU, I'll have her paste in here so she can keep track of what she's doing. So I have a record of all of the biomes that she's done. There's several more pages. So I really like it. I feel like she's learned so much. And it's been really helpful to learn the biomes when you're studying the cultures, because so much of the biomes are so intertwined with how people live. So we then went into South Africa. We are learning about the forest biome, the carbon cycle, rivers, tropical rainforest, and then we started on to our Amazon unit that I've been loving. I use continent biomes from Wildfeather EDU when we introduce new continent to go over all of the biomes. Let me show you what that looks like. So this is where we go over all of the biomes originally on the new continent that we study. And then again, that's the carbon cycle. We've got tropical rainforests. We learned about rivers. And then we jumped into the Amazon rainforest, which we have been working through. So I've been using Wildfeather EDU Rainforest for my Amazon, as well as several other books. So I do have this Latin America for sale, but it is 78 lessons. So this will most likely, doing it twice a week, take you a whole year, just to keep in mind, because this does include biomes and it does include a deep dive into the Amazon, which we're currently working through. We're using DK Eyewitness Amazon, What's Up in the Amazon. This is an awesome book. I love it. There are a few other books that we're going to be using as we progress, but she's reading Lost in the Amazon. She's halfway through this. She doesn't love it. This is a true story based on a girl that crashed on, I believe, on Christmas Eve in the Amazon, but she said there's a lot of heavy science things in here that are kind of going over her head, so she wishes it was more of a story than it was. But I am having her read it because I do feel like it's helping everything that she's learning in the Amazon. She's kind of seeing through this story as well. We're also going to be reading Stand as Tall as the Trees. We're also going to be learning about Chico Mendes as well, and some efforts that are happening to save the Amazon. So looking forward to that. It's been going really well. All right, guys, so now I'm going to show you all of the books that I have added. So I added Habitats of the World. I want to tell you that almost all of these are used. I got them for great prices and I buy them very slowly. So this one I had thought I would use for my son, but I thought that it would be really, I don't know if I can get it all in the frame, but it's so beautiful and big and a great like visual for my daughter and my son when he does it to see. So really like that. I also got this DK Explanatorium of Nature. This has great spreads on biomes. It seems kind of silly to buy it just for the biomes part. This is actually a library copy, but I will be investing in it. But I really enjoy how it breaks up and explains biomes. I have Habitats by DK. That's a great book, but that's a little advanced. And while my daughter understands it and gets something out of it, this gives it an extra depth that is more age appropriate, I would say. So really like it. There's a lot of other great stuff in this book, so I will be investing in it, but that's a fun addition. Also, I have this Atlas of Oddities. This is a book that she was gifted by my surrogate niece. It just has so many cool, interesting facts about the continents that we're in different countries. So fun addition. Okay, guys, now atlases. I have an atlas for the continents. I have an atlas for the biome regions. This animal atlas is the best biome for kids that I can find. It focuses on the different regions. It's really great. But I didn't really have an atlas for the specific countries, or like East Africa, North Africa, South Africa. So I bought this for my son, DK Smithsonian's Children's Illustrated Atlas. This is the country itself. Now it is in cartoon, but it has so many facts, so many different editions that really bring a lot, that I'm gonna be using this for my daughter as well. But as far as a genuine atlas, I brought in National Kids Geographic World Atlas. Thank goodness for my library, so many options. So what I really like about it is for each continent, it gives you the political map and the physical map. And then it's going to give you a couple page spread on information about the continent. I really like how age appropriate this is. I love all the pictures that this has. Great pictures in here. And then it breaks it down by section. So you've got Northwestern South America. You have Northeastern South America. So it breaks it down through different sections. And what I think I'm going to do here, Southern South America, is based on each section of the continent. I want to make sure that I'm focusing on one of those countries to give my daughter a more well-rounded viewpoint of that continent. So really liking this. Another one that we're adding is one I had gotten for my son. That's Our World in Pictures, Countries of the World. I had always assumed that this was for younger kids, but I just like some of the information. It definitely is geared for younger kids, but it has a lot of cool information too, and a lot of cool pictures, and it covers every country in the world. So my daughter loves the reading. She loves reading through all of these books. It's one of her favorite things. She told me that she could never watch a video again and she would be totally fine if she could read. It's one of her favorite things to do. So if your kid isn't as interested in it, you definitely don't need all the resources I do. But I figured since I have this for my son, and this is something she was interested in, that I could bring it in. Now these next one, I'm really excited about. This is a series. I got the Atlas of Adventures. We have Atlas of Adventures, Wonders of the World, and then Atlas of Animal Adventures. I got these used. These are so great. These I had gotten for my son, but when my daughter saw these, she just begged to have them included. So they're just full pictures. They are cartoons, but they're just so many different cool things. So these books just have a lot of fun, interesting pictures and ways to demonstrate things that we're already learning about. If my daughter hadn't expressed an interest, I may or may not have brought it in, but she looked at this and just thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I guess that's kind of a lesson to ourselves, that never underestimate what our children will be interested in, because they will definitely surprise you. So really looking forward to incorporating those. At some point, I'm going to show you some pictures of my geography shelf. I used to have them right over here, all of my books, and I've since had to get a new bookshelf for various reasons. I had a lot of books in the closet just to get everything out in the open. Again, I have a lot for my son too that I'm going to be incorporating. And because I know what I want and I buy these over time really slowly, that really helps. You know, when you're talking $10 every few weeks, it's a lot more manageable than buying everything all at one time. Okay, guys, that is it. If you've stuck around, I know this was a long video and you probably know why I had to break this up into 2 parts. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If not, I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.